My name is Barney, and this channel is all about transgender and crossdresser.
Hello, welcome back here in this channel, and for today's special video, we have this beautiful transgender woman who hid her identity for quite long, but now she's more brave and she is confident enough to announce to the world that she's a proud transgender mother. A lot of people was shocked when she announced it, but yeah, she is very brave right now and she used her social media platform just to let other people what is the life of a transgender woman. I know that you are very excited to listen to her, but before that, please allow me to invite you to be part of this growing family. Just click the join button below, or you can give us some tip. Just click the dollar sign below. And now, there she is.
The insane things that trans people go through, specifically the backlash from individuals and groups of people. I see a lot of people saying, like, just be yourself, nobody cares. Like, I even had a really close friend in LA who models, so she's surrounded by gay makeup artists and gay hairdressers, and because she doesn't feel negatively towards them, she just kind of assumes that nobody else does, or that these people generally have a positive experience in life. And I want to speak about one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me as a trans person. So for context, I transitioned at 13 years old from male to female. I was a swimsuit model until about the age of 23 when I got engaged to my now ex-husband, and I was in that relationship until just recently. So my ex-husband was a straight cisgendered man. He had 2 kids from a previous marriage. When we were in the early stages of dating, I told him about my transition, and he said it was water under the bridge. I love you anyways, doesn't matter. I was not open about my transition with anyone in my life at that point, except for just very close friends and then anybody that I was romantically involved with. My transition was not something that we were going to discuss with his parents or his side of the family. It was something that we were more so thinking, okay, when the kids are old enough and we can tell them in a way that they can understand, then we'll have that conversation and we'll kind of cross that bridge when we come to it. I had the most amazing in-laws. My ex-husband's parents were so sweet, so kind. I had the best mother-in-law. Like, we would always spend tons of time together, and we would bake together, and I'd call her on the phone. We'd talk for hours. I thought I had hit the jackpot in terms of in-laws. So life goes on, and one of the things my ex-husband and I had started doing was going to a retreat center outside of Nashville. And when I say retreat center, I'm talking about, like, there's a series on Hulu called 9 Perfect Strangers with is it Melissa McCarthy and Nicole Kidman. If you've seen this show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a great show, but the concept of it is that Nicole Kidman has this retreat center, and she uses psychedelic medicine like mushrooms or acid, and she gives people these psychedelic journeys, and they heal from PTSD or depression or whatever issues they're having in their relationships or their life in general. My ex-husband and I had been going to this retreat center together for maybe about a year and a half, and plot twist, my ex-husband's brother was the primary investor at this retreat center. So he had started going there when it was in its early stages. He became really good friends with the owner, and because he's successful in his own right, he starts funding the thing and controlling it from behind the scenes. When couples go to the retreat center together, it's called a couples journey, and you're in like a little apartment. There's multiple rooms in the apartment, and you start your journey separately. So you take the medicine, you go into a room by yourself with a same-sex facilitator. So men with men, women with women. I'm in the room. There's another woman there just to, like, if I get sick or if something happens, or, you know, you're laying down in a weighted blanket with an eye mask on, and then a recorder to you, so you can kind of talk through your experience. And then anything that comes up, any epiphanies or anything that you see in your experience that you feel is profound or that you want to talk about, you'll have that recording going with you leaving the experience. At the end of your individual journey, they bring you guys together. So whoever is the most coherent at the time, they'll kind of walk that person into the other room where your spouse or partner is, and then they bring you together, and you're both still on the medicine a little bit, and you have a couple's experience and they kind of leave you alone and you're by yourself at that point. Last time that we had went there, I started talking about my transition and how I needed to be myself, the shame that I carried around my transition, and how I needed to be more open with myself and my life in general. And I'm saying all of this on the recording that I have, but I have a facilitator sitting there with me while I'm in my individual experience, and she's hearing all the things that I'm saying. Now, I'm sure you can see where this is going. The facilitator works at the retreat center. The retreat center is funded by my ex-husband's brother, and the brother and their family do not know about my transition. I had already been wanting to come out of the closet and wanting to be more open at this point. This is like the second or third medicine journey that I had done. For a while now, I'm already saying like, you know, I want to be out of the closet. I think the kids are old enough. I don't want to wait until they're too old. Let's tell them now, you know, like let's start like, okay, baby steps. Let's start walking towards a more open and honest life. For that medicine journey, I had told my ex, I was like, I'm pretty sure I was talking openly about my transition in there. I know that lady probably heard me. It's probably only a matter of time until it gets back to your brother. If we're gonna tell your parents, I'd like to do so now before he gets to them. My husband agrees. We fly out of state. We go see his parents for, I think we were there for like a weekend. We had a dinner with them the first night. The second night we told them, and then we had breakfast with them the next morning to kind of clean things up, if you will, or just, I feel like when you tell somebody initially, there can be a lot of shock and a lot of questions that you don't initially think of. So I was like, I'd like to tell them in an evening and then be there the next morning after they've had time to process, and any questions they might have about it, you know, I want to be able to answer those before we leave. We did exactly that. We flew in, we saw his parents, we had the conversation with them, and things seemingly went okay. I mean, they were definitely shocked. There wasn't a ton of questions the next morning. I was like, I think you think, okay, like, the father-in-law is going to take it the worst, or, you know, but actually he was more accepting, and I think my mother-in-law had a harder time with it. A week or two goes by, and there's not really much fallout or much drama, and we're thinking like, okay, like this is a good step. We told your parents, everything went great. Life can go on now. Then his brother hits him up out of the blue and invites him on this mysterious business trip. I think it was in North Carolina. He says, hey, there's these 2 Navy SEALs, and they're not active duty anymore. They're out of the military, and now they teach like stress management practices to high functioning business people. He says, I'd really like you to come with me. Like it'll be just the 2 of us, or maybe he said it was like a group of people, I forget. And he said, you know, like it'd be really cool to learn from these guys, you know, just come up. So my ex-husband says, great, like I'll go up there. I kind of like pushed him into it. I was like, no, this is great. Like your brother is nuts. Like you should definitely bond with him. So to make a long story short, the brother had lured my husband up there. The Navy SEALs, who were stress management tactic leaders, were actually there as bodyguards because my brother-in-law was scared that my ex-husband was going to beat him up whenever he told him the news. The brother-in-law does not know that the parents know at this time, and he's put together this whole scheme where he tricked my ex-husband into taking psychedelic medicine and like having like a medicine journey where they came together afterwards. And then his plan was that when my ex-husband was on the medicine, or kind of like in this afterglow phase and you're more docile, I guess, that he would be more susceptible to hearing the shocking news that he thinks that my ex-husband did not know at the time. So the brother-in-law starts to tell my ex-husband this fake story about how he wanted to put us in his will, and so he was looking up my name and couldn't find it or something, and then had to go and do a background check and found my mother's Facebook and found all these old pictures or something like this. And that he found out that I used to be a boy and that I was trans. He's like waiting for this, like, oh, oh no, like, what are you saying? My wife is trans? This is crazy. Instead, my ex-husband was like, I know. She told me after like 2 weeks of dating, and she's a good human. I don't really care. What's the news here? Brother-in-law is shocked at this point. Like, he's actually devastated because his hero moment to swoop in and save the day and get rid of me because he never liked me in the first place has now been shattered. He's trying to hold back his disappointment and act like, oh, well, I was just really concerned. And the next morning, the brother tries to spin the story and make it about him again, and says something along the lines of like, well, you know, like, I never would have known, and like, you can't tell anyone because I don't want my kids to find out. At this point, they get into a blow-up argument because my ex, rightfully so, is like, you're not gonna tell me I can't tell my own kids or not. Like, that's not your place. And this whole thing is ridiculous, and I'm leaving. Now, this is all taking place around the holidays, so my in-laws are supposed to come to town for Thanksgiving within a week or two, and they're coming to our house from the brother-in-law's house. So they're driving down out of state for Thanksgiving, and of course we know there's going to be backlash and fallout because they've just had 2 weeks with the brother-in-law who's delusional and has filled their heads with all sorts of false concerns and questions, and do I still have a penis, and like all these things that they're concerned about now. So my mother and father-in-law get into town, and they're visibly shaken, like something is upsetting them, but they're not really saying what it is. They already know at this point because, like I said, we've gone and told them and had the conversation with them ourselves. And when we sat them down to be like, okay, what's going on? Like, there's something clearly bothering you. They are beside themselves, like absolutely devastated. They've gotten so worked up in the 2 weeks that have passed by now, talking with the brother-in-law. All the relationship that I had built with my mother-in-law, the fact that I had raised her 2 grandchildren, the fact that her son was an alcoholic when I met him, that I got him sober, that I stood by him through multiple visits to the hospital because he had a heart attack when he was 38. Like, just all of that goes out the window. It doesn't matter who I was to her or the relationship that we had built. You're trans now, and I want nothing to do with you. The whole story sounds like it might be kind of crazy, or it might be like a one-off thing, but it's really truly like a repetitive pattern that I've had in my life, even back to childhood when I would work at the mall, and I'd be in like one of those little kiosks in the mall, and then all the employees of the mall would find out that I had transitioned, and everybody would gossip about me or revolt against me, or there was bullying towards this little kid from a bunch of adults. So to anybody out there who's still thinking that, okay, like, just be yourself, you don't need to tell anybody, it doesn't matter, who cares, this is partially why I'm telling people, and partially why I'm making an effort to be out of the closet and to be on social media and tell stories and talk about the kind of crazy things that trans people go through, because it needs to be normalized. The transgender experience and the transgender human needs to be normalized so that when you find out that your cousin or daughter-in-law or whoever it is transgender, there's not this uproar happening inside of you, and instead it's like, huh, what have you gone through? Like, let me actually instead lean in with curiosity and compassion, because now I've seen enough of it around me that it's not so foreign anymore, and it's not so jarring, and I don't have to have this crazy reaction.
Hello, hello, it's a beautiful world here.
Hi, this is Scarlett, and don't forget to subscribe to Barney Bear's channel.
Hi guys, this is Rika, and don't forget to
Subscribe now to Barney Bear's channel. Anak ko yan.
Barney Bear's channel, where color